Hello, welcome to another episode of M2M session. So today we'll be talking about dealing with hurts as men. So, but you see, this type of hurt that I'm talking about is not the one that maybe probably somebody offends you and you're angry and you're upset. Someone did something to you, someone stabbed you in the back, or maybe the girl you were probably in a relationship with broke your heart and all. No, there are different levels of hurt and there are different types of hurt. But I want to talk about a particular type of hurt that we as guys, we've kept silent over for a very long time, and that is the hurt caused by our fathers. The hurt caused by our father. Let me share a story with us. My story. While growing up, I grew up as the only son and the only child at the point, and that lasted for about 10 years. 10 good years I received of the love and all the care and everything. Then we welcomed my younger brother into the family. After he's 2 years old, after his second birthday, a lot of things began changing. I wasn't, of course, as a child, I didn't really understand this, but I wasn't really getting the attention that I used to get before. Attention was now divided. Everybody was now expecting that I should be grown up, Whenever I asked for toys, game, whenever I asked for something, I wouldn't always get it as quick as I used to get it before. I wasn't able to, I didn't understand all that, Then we also welcome my last born also. But at a certain point, that was when I was, I think that must have been at the age of 15. No, not 15. Age of 13, yes. Age of 13. That's when I realized that I'm not really happy with my dad. Yes. A particular incident happened and I came home with an assignment. It was actually an assignment in mathematics, algebra, and I didn't know how to handle it. Here my dad was. He's a math genius. Whenever we go out and we meet his friends would usually tell me, Anna, your dad is engineer Basi Young. I hope you are a mathematics genius as your dad. And in my mind, okay. So I came up with the assignment and my mom wasn't able to help me do the assignment, and I remember taking it to my dad to ask him, please show me how to do this. And he asked me a question I wasn't able to answer. I think he asked me the definition of algebra and I wasn't able to answer. Come on, what? I wasn't able to answer. He asked me to go and get my textbook, I brought my notes. I couldn't even find the definition of algebra in the notes itself. Okay. And even the textbook did not have that particular. This definition thing, they usually define it in a very, very lower class. When you get to a certain class, yes. At the age of 13, I think, I was in SS1. Yes, I was already in senior secondary school 1. Yes. I had passed the 3 junior classes, so at that level they expect you to have known all the definitions and all. They don't need to start teaching you basic and all. But I was. So I wasn't able to answer. My dad said, you've been playing, why can't you remember this simple example? What do you do in class when your lecturer is teaching you and all? Guess what? with all that talks, all what he was saying, I didn't feel confident enough to take the assignment back to him. He told me, go and look for the definition. I mean, I came to you to help me do an assignment. You asked me for definition. Who does that? I remember moving out and taking the book to sit on, to go into the room, and I slept. And I went to school the next day, and I wasn't able to submit the assignment, and I was even flopped because I wasn't able to do the assignment. I felt really bad. I mean, my dad would have just done calculation and I would have passed. That incident made me to withdraw from taking assignments to my dad, especially maths. Because I'm like, let me not go before you ask me something. I don't know. I know there's something that my dad usually say. If he asks you something you don't know, he'll be like, you don't have sense. He will just tell you don't have sense. So that kind of like made me feel bad. And trust me, that was where my low self-esteem started. Yes, that was where my low self-esteem started, because here I was like, all these students that are passing mathematics, I'm sure their parents are helping them. My dad is a mathematics junior, he's an engineer. I mean, I'll just take these things, but then you just sit down and teach me everything. You get? So, 13 years old, 14, 15, down till when I was 16, I finished secondary school and I had issues with my mathematics. I wasn't doing well. My performance in mathematics dropped drastically. Indeed. And okay, for those in West Africa, there's an exam you usually write when you're done with high school. It's called WAEC. It's called WAEC. And then of course, then for in Nigeria, there's an exam called NECO. So I wrote WAEC and NECO up to 5 times because I wasn't able to pass mathematics. By this time, the hurt grew to anger. I was already feeling angry. A part of me held my dad responsible for that failure. A part of me held my dad responsible for not being a mathematics genius, for not even being able to flow well in mathematics. And not just that alone. Now that is one side. Now the other side is this. There will be times where he will come back. Maybe I was supposed to do something and I did not do it. He would shout at the top of his voice. I remember when I got into university, it was very, very frequent. Very, very frequent. Especially when I got involved with a particular organization known as FECA. My dad wasn't pleased with it and all, so there were several things he would do. I grew up seeing other students, other children receiving pocket money, receiving allowance. I never got allowance while growing up. No, not for once did I get allowance. I'll just be given money for transportation. Then there's one statement that my dad made one of those days when I asked him, I was like, Daddy, you're giving money for transport. What if I get hungry? He told me, if you're hungry, come back home and eat. And I'm like, I'm seeing my siblings. You're buying things for them. When it's now my turn, you're telling me this. So those hurts grew. It grew, it poured, it piled up. Every little thing, if I just make a little mistake, my dad would rain insults. It really it damaged my esteem. Oh, trust me, if you listen to my previous podcast, I think the one I spoke about insecurity, I began feeling like I'm not good enough. See, I started feeling like I am good for nothing, because if my dad is seeing me this way, if the man that brought me to this world is seeing me that I'm not even good enough, I started seeing myself as not being good enough. So probably you're here and you're in that situation. You're struggling with insecurity or inferiority complex or low self-esteem. You can go through my podcast and look for the session I spoke about insecurity, and that really, really be helpful. Yeah, I also shared how I was able to deal with it. So but for today we are talking about how to deal with hurts. So you see, I carried a whole lot. I carried a whole lot of hurt. I carried a whole lot of baggage in me, a whole lot. And it got to a point that I wasn't even comfortable coming back home. Yes, I would prefer after school I will go spend long hours at my friend's place, then I'll come back late, because I know as I'm coming back late, he's just to enter my room and sleep. And even if I come back and I meet him in the parlor, I also felt uncomfortable staying in the sitting room whenever he's around, just because I don't want to hear talk. That those statements, my relationship with him, I didn't have a good relationship with him, so I usually stay away. Or is it the part where I would drive and probably I dreaded driving. It got to a point after I got my driver's license, I dreaded driving while my dad was in the car. Just make a little wrong turn. Just allow somebody horning you, or maybe just make a little, while driving is a whole lot that goes on. Just make a little mistake on the road. You would hear it. You feel like the worst driver ever. So it made me extremely careful. It felt I felt like I was walking on eggshells. That's the expression. I felt like I was walking on eggshells in the house. 2 years ago, is it 2 years ago? Yes, 2 years ago. Because of this, I had to find a way to move out of my parents' house. Now, not majorly because of this. Now, don't get me wrong. Not majorly because of this, but when I weighed all my options as to why I should move out of my parents' house 2 years ago, this was one of the options. Just because I needed to get a safe space and clear my head and regain my mental health and all, and feel, So how did I deal with this hurt? And how can you deal with this hurt if you're probably harboring any hurt? Now, please, I've met people that have told me, or probably you might even be listening to this, and because of your relationship with your dad, you don't feel like you're going to be a better father, or maybe it's even a divorce case, and because of that you don't even believe in marriage. Or there are people like that. Our family contributes 65% of what our life turns out to be. Yes. If you see somebody, the person is a product of his background. But you see, because we are products of our background, doesn't mean that we cannot influence our character and our behavior. You must not allow your background influence you. Influence you. You can change the narrative. Yeah. Okay, so how was I able to deal with the hurt and all? Because right now, trust me, right now I and my dad, we're like pals. This year, I think is it early this year or mid this year. So we usually stayed before I relocated out of the current state where I was staying in the same state with them. So one of those days my dad picked up his phone and he called me. Okay, no, he didn't call me. I arrived home to visit them, and they were like, "Come, Anna. You mean you can be in this town and not even look for us for 2 weeks?" Now that was his way of telling me that he misses me. yes. And 2 months ago, when I was traveling, he and my mom, they accompanied me to the airport. My mom gave me a goodbye hug, and my dad stretched out his hand to give me a handshake. So I was like, "Hi, this man would have just hugged you, but I know that he's not made like that. He's not wired like that." See, guys, okay, sorry to divert. Please, there's nothing wrong in hugging a fellow guy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so back to dealing with hurt. So like I was saying, right now I and my dad, we are cool. We are cool. We talk. Like I mean, throughout this month, we talk like almost every day. Especially when I wasn't in town, I would call him, give him an update. He would check up. Our relationship now is blissful. It's blissful. Like, yeah, I could literally see the smile on his face whenever I come back home to visit. And something happened one day, and I bought a gift for him. Okay, no, it wasn't a gift. I helped him buy something. Yeah, at that point he didn't have money. I helped him buy something, and he told me thank you. I could feel the love in his voice. So I'm saying this to tell you that it is possible for you to deal with that hurt that you're feeling towards your dad. It is possible for you to deal with that anger, with that resentment that you're feeling in your heart towards your father. Because is it Anna? Okay. An angry child, an angry son doesn't make a better father. Let me say it in another way. A bitter son doesn't make a better father. A bitter son doesn't make a better father. You have to deal with it. And how do you deal with it? It's exactly the same way I dealt with it. So how do you deal with the hurt? So sit down and think about sit down and think about every single thing that your dad has done to offend you. Think about everything. Go down the memory lane. One day may not be enough to remember all, but that's the first step until you are able to think about everything. You see, back then, whenever I talk about these things, I cry, but now I'm able to talk about it freely because I've gone past it. So go down memory lane and picture and remember every single thing right from now till back at the past. What are those things that he has done to offend you? Please, whether he's still alive or he's late, it doesn't change anything. You still have to do this. Now, while you're thinking about it, whatever drops in your head, number 2, get a sheet of paper and write them down. Just take note of it. Write it out. Now, the reason why I'm advising you to write it out is because, you see, as men, many of us are not wired. In short, not many. We are not wired to share our problems. We are not wired to share our struggles. And you see, my podcast is a proof that we have a whole lot buried inside of us, and it's time that we should start sharing. It's time that we should start talking about these things. But you may not get to that point where you can talk to somebody about it, but because you want to release those negative emotions you're feeling, and you can't share it with somebody, share it on your book. Write it out. It's like lifting up. When you share your pain, you are lifting up the load, you're lifting up the pain, you're lifting up the burden and keeping it aside. So when you're writing it down, you're lifting it up and putting it on paper. Yes, you can write it out, or if writing doesn't feel comfortable with you, sit down and say it out. Talk to yourself out loud and record yourself while talking. Yes, record yourself while talking. The reason that's the second thing, either you write it out or you record yourself while talking. The reason you're doing this is so that when you're done listing everything, you can commit yourself to memory. You can be sure that you've been able to identify every single thing, so that 5 years down the line, you will not remember, this thing that you did, I've still not forgotten. You need to remember everything. Every single thing. Yes. And then number three. Once you've thought about everything and you've written down or you said out everything, you need to ask yourself this question. Are you ready to let go of the hurt? Everything that you've written out there, everything that you've said out, are you ready to let go of the hurt? Are you ready to let go of the hurt? You need to ask yourself that question and you need to answer it. If it is no big deal. Okay? There are people that get to that point, they say no. You see, when you say no, it means there's something that he did. And you see, that no, now when you now say no, why? Question yourself. No, you're not ready. Why? Oh, this thing that he did is very, very painful. Yes. If it is yes, why? If you say that you're ready to let go, why? You need a reason, you need a conviction. So that you will not say yes, and then tomorrow you now say, but this or that one that he did is very, very painful, it's very, very hurtful. So is it a yes or is it a no? If it is a no, you need to find out exactly what he did that was really, really hurtful. You need to stay there. If it is a no, don't move to the next step. See, there are people that honestly, it took me, when I started this journey of forgiving my dad, that was in 2015. Yes, it was in 2015 and it took me 5 years before I could let go of every single thing. Now, the reason why it took me 5 years was because I did not sit down to think about every single thing. But for you, it can be shorter. Yes, it can be shorter. So, why I'm saying it took me 5 years was because it was in 2015 that I made up my mind that I want to actually let go of the hurt. But it was very difficult to let go of the hurt. I didn't know why it was difficult until I realized that, okay, let me commit to memory all the things that I am holding as a grudge against my father, against my dad. And when I was able to do that, that was last year, 2020. When I was able to do that, I was able to move to the next step. So that's why I say, if yours is no problem. Maybe there are still some things you need to remember. So now, if it's a yes and you're ready to let go of every single thing, then we can move to the fourth step. So the fourth thing to do, is to repeat after me what I'm going to say. Say, Dad, I forgive you. I forgive you for doing this to me. So you start listing everything, every single thing, step by step, everything that he has done, everything that you wrote on paper. Start listing, calling it out. Now, don't just say dad alone. Of course, call his name. What I did back then, I was like, Dad, Engineer Basi Iyang, I forgive you for not paying attention to my needs when I came to ask for your help to assist me in my mathematics assignment. I forgive you for telling me I don't have sense. I forgive you for everything. You just start reading everything out. You read everything out while you're doing this. Feel free to cry. Don't hold back. Trust me, it's a relieving process. It's a relieving process. There's nothing wrong if you cry along the line. I remember I cried. I did. I cried while saying every single thing. I kept on repeating it. When you're saying it, you would definitely feel. It will feel like a burning sensation in your heart. That anger, you have to say it until you feel at peace, until you feel light. I read out everything. I read out everything until I was able to smile. When I mean smile, I got to the point where it felt like that burden, that load, that weight has been taken off. When you let go of something, when you forgive somebody, you're letting go of it. So you have to keep on saying everything. Read it out loud. Dad, I forgive you for doing this. Dad, I forgive you for doing this. I forgive you for doing this. I forgive you for doing this. You're not going to tell him. You are reading it out loud in your quiet place. That's the fourth thing to do. Remember, I said the first thing to do is to sit down and remember everything. The second thing to do is to write out everything or say it out and record it. The third thing to do is to ask yourself a question. Are you ready to let go? Are you ready to let go? And why? The fourth thing to do is to actually call his name, and call out every single thing you've written out and tell him that you forgive him. So that's number 4. You call his name and you list out every single thing that he has done to hurt you. Then number 5, when you're done with that, number 5, there are 2 more steps. Number 5, when you're done with everything, just say just say it out loud, Dad, I love you. I know it will be hard, it will be difficult, but just say that, Dad, I love you. Like the way I did, Engineer Basi Iyang, I love you. It was hard saying those words, I love you. Those 3 words were hard, they were difficult for me, but I had to get to the point where I said it. I had to get to the point where I said it. After saying it, still in number 5, after saying it, pick up your phone and send him a message. Daddy, I love you. He needs to hear those words. I remember that day, once I was done, I picked up my phone. I was already in tears while typing those 4-letter words. Daddy, I love you. After typing it, I spent like 10 extra minutes before sending it. I felt somehow sending it. I mean, that was going to be the first time in my life I would be telling my dad I love you. I have never heard it from him. I don't even know. Trust me, after I sent it, he didn't even reply you. But sending those 4-letter words, Daddy, I love you, it did a whole lot to me. So, when you're done with that, the final thing to do is get him a gift. Buy him a gift. Yes, buy him a gift. Your gift will create. See, he doesn't know. You see, he doesn't even know what is going on in your head. You know, see, our parents, especially our fathers, they are relating with us the same way that their fathers, that their parents related with them. So we can't entirely fault them. That is how they know how to love us. You know, that's how they know how to love us. That's their best way of loving us. So we can't entirely fault them. Okay? So that was how they were raised. But you see, that's why we need to correct it, because we've seen that it is wrong, and we cannot go on to raise our own future kids or our own kids the same way. So we need to deal with it. So get him a gift. You know, if you don't know what he likes, ask your mom. You know, get him something nice. It could even be a drink, and just say, Daddy, this is for you. Why? Because your gift will make room for you. It's not as if you lost your room, but you see, your gift, after that message that you sent, your gift will definitely open a room of a new relationship with your dad. And I'm sure you really want to have a better relationship. Now, what if your dad is late? Yeah, what if your dad is late? Still call his name and tell him you love him. You may not be able to send him a message, but get a flower, get a flower and go to his graveyard and drop it. Yeah, and drop it in honor of him. In honor of him. Your gift is you honoring your father. Yes, your gift is you honoring your father. Your gift, that gift is like paying loyalty, paying homage, saying, Daddy, this is my gift of love. You know. So that's it, guys. That's it. I look forward to hearing from you guys. I would like to hear that, wow, you did this and it changed. It won't be automatic, but I look forward to hearing from you when it happens. And please, in case you try it and maybe you're stuck at some point, maybe you're having difficulty at some point, reach out to me. Send me an email, anaiyan01@gmail.com. ANAINYAND01. You're not spelling the 0 and 1, you're just writing it out, 01@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to this episode on how to deal with hurts. I send my best regards to you.